Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. This is Winter here. So some of you may know me from Instagram. I've put out a few videos or a few photos here and there of some of the work I've done. So I thought, what with it being Joanna's anniversary recently, I thought maybe I would give you a quick tour of my Johanna Basford collection. Now, the only piece that I'm going to be leaving out is Joanna's Christmas and I have another of her books that I haven't touched yet, so I won't bother with that. I also will not be bringing any other duplicates. I will only show you the things that I have done some work in. So with that, I'm not going to ramble on too much. I thought that I would start us off with The Lost Ocean. And I'm starting here because this was probably the first true adult coloring book that brought me into this journey. It was the first one I tried to take a little bit seriously. Like a lot of you, I started with materials that were questionable, fine liners, gel pens, things that now we know we can use as embellishments, but in order to create more stunning artwork, we need a little bit more to work with than that. So I will take you through this tour. It's a little embarrassing, again, given that it's a very early piece for me, but we'll see what we can do. All right. So we start with the title page. Again, this was a strange whip for me because I started it way back when I first started. So as you can see, all of the gel pen and the glitter, everything was done. A lot of these fish were done pre-colorist edition. And so then I just kind of, when I decided to get into coloring for more seriously as a hobby, I went back and I tried to fix up any of the fish that were a little bit off, and I tried to fill in any of the blanks that I hadn't finished with whatever materials I could come close to matching with, and it turned out not too bad. I filled in all these little details in here in the Lost Ocean. You can probably see, just using some fine liners, some Staedtler fine liners, and then this background is stamping ink. I'm too poor for distress ink at this moment, so there's just cheap stamping ink and a stencil. This was, again, a long-term old whip. This is all gel pen up here, as you can see, based on the, a little bit of glitter, the neon, the whatever, and then plus these little fish here. And then I kind of filled in the rest with fine liner and pencil just to finish it in a hurry one time, just to see. And then I used this blue metallic paint, acrylic paint. This was, again, an experiment to see what the coverage was like and what it would be like as a background. So not great, but nevertheless, technically finished. Here's a little whip. I was starting this one day when I was really feeling uninspired and couldn't get into anything serious. I just took some fine liners and started doodling. This one, again, I was just fooling around. I was using all kinds of different mediums, from pencils to pens to fine liners to markers to whatever. Again, metallic acrylic background as an experiment, and then I threw some sparkly acrylic over top. So it's just kind of a mess, but it's fun nonetheless. This one I'm a little bit more proud of. It was originally an old whip that, was done badly. But I managed to erase most of it and then go back over the top of it. And I used Prismacolors very, very carefully to do each one of the fish and try to get them all nice and like graded and shaded. Here, maybe I can zoom in a little bit for you, so you can see all the grading, the shading. And then plus, of course, I added some glitter. You've got lots of glitter gel pen and all kinds of things. The background is Arteza pencils, actually, the pastel green there and that darker green in the center. Artex pencils, sorry. And then I've got some soft pastel just on the edges here to finish it off. This piece I'm pretty proud of. It turned out really, really well. I don't know if I've posted it to my social media yet or not. If not, I'm sure I will soon. So yeah, this is this ocean piece. It's mixed pencils. There might be some Crayolas in here. There might be some Artex. There might be some Prismas. Well, I know there's definitely Prismas in here somewhere. I know this fish is Prisma. And the background is most definitely Prismas. This took forever. I'm glad I chose colors that I don't use super often for it. Obviously, these two blues are used more frequently. But these these teals. I don't use them quite as frequently, so I didn't miss them when I used them up. And then, of course, we've got Posca bubbles in the background, so pretty happy with the way that one turned out. As you can see, this one's got a sticker that says scrapped. I actually originally liked it when I finished it in gel pen, but then I started using charcoal and black pastel in the background to try and create a black background against that bright neon, and it obviously just went everywhere and spread and completely destroyed any work that I had done in gel pen. So I just considered this one scrapped, and I moved on. Here's another little fish I was experimenting with. Obviously didn't turn out great. This one's quite nice. Sorry. This ship, again, it was a really long-term whip, but it was one that I started post-colorist career. So it's got, I believe, Crayolas for all these green plants, Prismas for the boat itself and the flags, and then gel pen, old traditional gel pens in for all these little coral thingies. I've got acrylic paint and Prismas for the waves. These little circulars here are Prismas, and then I've got glitter paint over top of it. So turned out quite lovely, as you can see. Not too bad at all. Oh, and the background is stamping ink and a stencil, of course. You can just figure this one out for yourself, I think. I think maybe we'll just let you have a quick look at that one and we'll move on. Another self-explanatory one. This one's quite nice. Again, I think it was my first time ever using acrylics for a background, like for real and actually trying, not just as a test. So this is all Prismas, all the fish, these little plants, the leaves here, all Prismas. And then some gold gel pen in the bottom here, or gold paint possibly, I can't remember, for these little details down here. And then the background is metallic acrylic, and then the background here is matte acrylic, and then of course Posca for the bubbles again. As you can see, that is very matte. Another scrapped piece. I didn't really bother telling myself these were scrapped. I just kind of moved on. Again, all glitter gel pen, as you can see, just neons and glitters. Not much to be said about it. I thought about trying to finish it off, but it just, I think it just speaks to my early work, and that's about that. Plus, it's got all kinds of transfer and glitter everywhere. I didn't know about fixative when I started this, so it's everywhere, but that's fine. It's, again, a testament to early work. Again, early work using watercolor markers, not really having a clue as to what I was doing, never did a background on it, but nonetheless, I suppose it's kind of cute. I believe I used Staedtler markers actually for that, so it didn't turn out too bad. It could have been a lot worse. Again, early work using gel pens. Again, lots of transfer, smudging everywhere. It's just, you can see that. How much transfer from over here we've got. Oh my goodness, what a mess. I thought about trying to do a background on this one, but how much transfer and smudging there is. Again, I threw some fixative on it, and it's just gonna sit in the museum of early work. Sorry, I would have gone more flippy through, but I know I have one almost every few pages in here, so I'm just kind of flipping through page by page. Again, this was an early work using watercolor markers. I tried to do a little bit of pencil work over here just to kind of see how it would turn out. I've got it flagged in case I want to come back to it and try to finish it, but I don't know if I ever will. This may be a forever whip, but we'll see. Again, early in my pencil work, trying to figure out how pencils played into my tastes. They're probably Crayolas based on the texture of the paper. They feel like it. So, I mean, not a bad attempt at blending, but I don't think that this one will ever be finished up either. This is a current, semi-current whip. It's been sitting for a while, but it is done in Prismas. And you can see the blending's not too bad in a lot of areas. It's the colors are kind of random dandom when it comes to the greens, but I thought that would be kind of fun. I may come back to this at some point. Pretty much everything in this book is a maybe when it comes to the whips. But I've got this one flagged as a serious possibility, so maybe one day we'll come back to it. Another speaks for itself. Again, I started it in gel pen, and then I tried to use black pencil to kind of do a background, but I didn't like the way it was turning out, so yeah. This was me seeing what would happen if I used ink first for the background and kind of just coated the whole thing and then went back over it with pencil. Not super happy with the results. So she scrapped. Old gel pen drawing. It actually turned out surprisingly well. Obviously no shading or anything, just basic block coloring. I decided to give it a frame by simply doing some acrylic paint in the background just to finish it off and say, you know what, this was an early work, but at least I have one early work that I can consider officially finished, which I thought was really nice. Anything else in here, or was that the last one? No, that's the last one. Okay, so that's Lost Ocean by Johanna Basford, and of course I thank her very much for inspiring me using this book. So I will reach over and grab the next one. So the next one that I acquired from her was Worlds of Wonder. This has to be one of my favorites by her, or it used to be. I'm not sure. Now that she's got a few more out, I've started exploring her books a little bit more. Maybe it isn't anymore, but I guess we'll see. I do have a lot of work done in this one. This was where I first started taking my coloring seriously. I've got some scrapped pieces in here for different reasons, but at least it's an interesting book, so we will see what happens. Some testing of things there. There was some copper paint I wanted to see if it would go through. It did not, so that's exciting. But this was an alcohol marker, and that was a no-go. This is a recent piece that I did. I used Artex pencils for the houses, and then I used soft pastels for the background. The pastels did flake over onto the houses a little bit, so they ended up a little darker than I had planned, but still turned out pretty well, I think, all things considered. And I've got this nice gold washi tape on the background. It's a pretty cheap one. You can kind of see where it's melted through itself, but that's fine. I really like the way this one turned out. I'm really happy with it. So it's all Prismas aside from a little bit of gold pen here and there. I don't know if it was a jelly roll that I used or if it was actual like brush gold paint, a little bit of silver in there too. But obviously a little bit of Posca, a little bit of white jelly roll for the details. And then I've used black Posca and white Posca to kind of separate the two fields. My idea here was to make the underwater extremely bright, extremely crisp, extremely, you know, really standing out as under the sea. And then above, if you notice, it's all very bland. It's all very sort of soft, muted colors, boring colors. You know, I kind of wanted to give that feeling of underwater, super fun, above water, super boring. So that's why that turned out the way it did. And I'm just going to bring you in just a little so you can see him. There you go. Sorry about the camera. I'm using my iPad today, and the camera stand doesn't like it very much. It much prefers other mediums, but I mean, this is what we're with right now, so. Sorry if it's a little shaky at times. Here's a whip. So these are really fun, these little minis. I work on them slowly, just, you know, when I need to get a feeling for something. They're pretty much all done in Prismas, I believe. The only one that is not, I think, is this camel here. I think this was done in Artex because of those neons, which I'm actually pretty happy with. I like that. There's lots of different mediums on here. I'm not going to try to name them all because there's so many of them, but as you can see, there's lots of golds and sparkles and, you know, what have you. It kind of worked out really nicely that way. So that eventually, hopefully, I'll get around to finishing those off. Again, little minis, super fun. This one was, again, when I first got my Prismas, I was trying it out and seeing if it would work out. And so it's not super well shaded, but it's at least better than nothing. I gave it a try at least. These ones were much more recent. I did all of those at one point. I did kind of like a random palette challenge on myself with these. I kind of just went through Pinterest or something like that and tried to figure out random palettes that I could make these houses out of, and they turned out pretty good. So I kind of like them. So many pictures in here that I still want to do. I'm so excited to do, but I guess I get into that headspace of I'm too scared to start them. I hate coloring food. I'm gonna be right up there and honest with you. I hate coloring food. I don't know why, but I'm awful at it. I feel like it just is not my thing. I'm gonna keep trying. I'm gonna keep practicing, but it's really tough for me to get into these pages like this. I struggle really hard with coloring food, but I got these down. I did them, you know, I gave it a try. Again, I think this was experimenting with blending new pencils. So that's that. Again, why haven't I colored this page? Why not? No, because I'm intimidated, because it looks so beautiful and I just don't want to ruin it, which is crazy because I have another copy of this book. So I should be working on these pages and giving them a go, because if I mess them up, I've always got the other book. But there's the perfectionist in me. I really want to do this cat too. I want to do it in opposite colors. I want to do all these flowers and plants in like cat colors, and then I want to do the cat in like greens and pinks. Maybe. We'll see. Pretty. Again, finished this one recently, but started it way back in the day when I first got this book. You can see that some of them are really questionable in the way that they sort of turned out. You can see there's all kinds of smudging and weirdness happening there, and the background is just a mess. And some of them turned out really nicely, like this one, which I just finished the other day. So, but it's a nice little contrast, a nice little group of colors there to just give you an idea. Again, love it. All these little minis, super cute. Once again, a variety of different mediums, pencils, pens, colors, paints, sparkles galore, all kinds of different things going on here. I'm not going to go through it all. If you have any questions about any of them, you can shoot me a message. Again, this was an older one. The background, however, is new. But the houses and the flowers, again, they were when I first kind of got my Prismas, and I was just figuring out how to work them out. And then I kind of left it for the longest time, but then I decided to add the washi tape in the background just to kind of give it that little extra finish touch. This one I just randomly started working on and never finished. It's been sitting like that for a very long time. This one, on the other hand, was a tutorial that I did from a YouTube channel called Pencil Stash a way back. I believe it was using Crayolas, if I'm not mistaken. So I did the bird entirely following a tutorial by Pencil Stash. I don't believe that person has posted in a very long time. I don't think they're running their channel anymore. But yeah, so I did that tutorial and it turned out really well. It was really nice. I think I did the background and the leaves and everything separately later, but I know for a fact I at least did the bird with her. Again, this one's a bit of an older one, was still figuring out the pencils, had just gotten my Prismas, but still the shading turned out pretty nicely. It was my first attempt at a bokeh background, and it, again, turned out not too bad. I'm pretty happy with it. Given that it was my first attempt at it. So, yeah, again, all Prismas with a little bit of, a little bit of like Jelly Roll White just for accents, but otherwise all Prisma. This was actually a coloring tutorial that I was following from Karen at My Colorful Country Life. As you can see, at first it started out pretty good. But later I got sloppy, I got lazy, and I kind of stopped the tutorial and then never went back to it. And I don't think I ever will. I mean, it turned out, like, I love it, and it was a really nice tutorial, but I just don't know if I'm going to be able to pick it up in the middle. You know what I mean? I think I'm going to have to start it over again in the new book and maybe do it my own way this time. But following Karen's tutorial, of course, did help me to pick things up, as they always do. I'm a huge My Coloring Country Life fan. I follow her all over the place, Instagram, everywhere. So if you're not a fan of her, then I doubt you'd be here. But if you're not, follow her. Again, food. This was my attempt at vegetables. Questionable, right? Yeah, not so great. We'll see what happens in the future. Cake. Everybody loves cake. Except for me when I'm coloring it. But, I mean, all things considered, not too bad. Cakes are not the worst possible, but you'll notice I left all these ones with the donuts and everything because they seemed a little more intimidating to me. But these little strawberries and like these flowers, that's fine. That's all right. I can handle that. And I tried to do different coloring schemes for each of them. So hopefully I can get these last ones finished up, since I was going haywire with the gold and silver paint at the time. I just wanted to get those stands done because I love playing with metallics and glitter. But yeah, that's that. So this bike has been redone so many times. I did it once, didn't like it, erased it, did it another time, didn't like it, erased it. Finally finished up these wheels, liked them, so I left them, and then I did the body of the bike, again, I think one more time, and it turned out okay. I gave up on it, and I just threw some white Posca just to finish it up. The background was my first attempt at using Prismacolor watercolors. Didn't go super, as you can see, and then I used an acrylic as a frame to try and detract from that. So not my favorite piece, obviously, for obvious reasons, but not the worst. This one, I believe, was also a tutorial by My Colorful Country Life. It may have been her, or it may have been someone else, but I'm pretty sure it was her. Somebody can correct me if they know this work, then let me know who I borrowed this from, but definitely not mine, because it turned out way too well. So another whip. I started experimenting with watercolor markers and pens, and I don't know if I'll ever try to fix that or not. Just did these real quick, just basically block coloring, barely any shading at all. I just kind of was in the mood to apply, you know, whatever I felt like applying. Not too bad. Now you know my full name at this point from seeing my This Book Belongs To, because from now on when I get books, I'm going to be stamping them with my YouTube and Instagram name. But if you catch this video, well, then I guess you know who I am. And, well, again, another scrapped piece. I did not like the way this turned out when I finished it. So I used gesso to cover it entirely and tried using it, you know, tried experimenting on top of it with different pencils just to see. And now it's just kind of an experiment page. So I'll have to start it again in the new book. But that is Worlds of Wonder. Then I also have World of Flowers. However, I'm not going to pull it out because I haven't done anything in it. I will pull out Magical Jungle next. This was an experiment. I was super excited because I got a set of Ohuhu alcohol markers. And I was just gung-ho and trying to see what I could do with them. And obviously it has cost me the front of this book with the bleed through. I didn't think it would bleed through this amount of card, but it sure did. So there we have it. As you can see, this is a slightly newer book. It's got my real name in it, with some washi tape, some soft pastel, and Crayola pencils, actually. Here, I'll give you another quick look at it. There we go. There's not a lot done in this. Again, this was the Ohuhu markers. Maybe a whip I will never finish. We will see. Not a lot finished in this yet. I've got so many other books that I haven't really delved into it. Again, this was just a quick experiment. I think this was the first page I really tried to color with Artex pencils just to see what they were like when I first got them. And it turned out okay. It's been like a long time whip. Again, I didn't really pick a color scheme. I kind of just went with it, so. That may be all of it. Yeah, that's all for Magical Jungle. Next, I will pull out Secret Garden. There's been a lot of hype around Secret Garden lately because of the 10th anniversary edition and what have you. I've had this book for a while sitting on my shelf, and I only just recently started playing with it just before all the Secret Garden hype started up. So this was a bit of a wash. I did it all in gel pen. Again, it was just an experiment, just a kind of a having fun moment with it. And then I was experimenting with Mod Podge. So I smudged Mod Podge all the hell over it, and it just made a mess. It's like smudged a lot of the ink. As you can see, it didn't really turn out great. And this black stuff over here kind of got transferred over onto here in some places. So not super great. Same kind of thing happened here. It was, you know, Mod Podged to hell. This page turned out really well. Big old double page spread, a classic. You can definitely find this one on my Insta. This was all Prisma pencils. A little bit of soft pastel in the background here as an experiment, but it didn't work, so I moved on. Yeah, and just a few, like, some gold pens and what have you through it. But yeah, mostly just Prismas. This was all fine liners and gel pens. Yes, fine liners and gel pens, a little bit of sparkle pop in there. Very, very much just glitter. This was Artex pencils, again, on my social media available. It turned out really, really well. Some of the blending is just beautiful. I love these leaves over here, the way that they turned out looking like the light's shining right on them. It was really quite lovely. I did lots of different experiments with different kinds of shading on leaves, as you can see. I was watching a lot of movies while doing this one. In particular, Starship Troopers was one that I remember very fondly watching. I mean, it's not like I'd never seen it before, but I just remember it being on in the background while I was working on this page. These two pages are so sparkly. It is unbelievable, as you can see. This whole background on this one was done using glitter gel pen. Like, it took forever to do because I did it all. I went through probably 5 cheap glitter gel pens just going through trying to do this background. This one was done with metallic acrylic in the background. It was inspired by my friends at the Leaky Inkwell. And of course, this was done, the owl itself was done with Crayolas, actually. Yeah, this was all Crayolas. All the pencil work was Crayolas. The rest was all like cheap gel pens and a few jelly rolls in there as well. But this, all the leaves were done with mixed pencils. Like every pencil I own, including dollar store pencils. I just tried everything just to see how it would work on this paper, and it turned out surprisingly pretty good. I actually found that the Prismas were my least favorite on this paper, which is the weirdest thing I've ever said. But there we have it. Oh, I forgot to color that snail. Look at that. Look at him. He's just sitting there all on his lonesome. Oh, look at that. I'll fix him up later. Or maybe he'll just stay like that. Maybe he's just going to be the enigma of the page. And the only other thing I've touched in here is this page. And as some of you might know, this is the contest page. I have obviously lapsed and I didn't actually finish it in time, but I will come back eventually and do this as a whip, and I'll finish it up just for fun. But yeah, as you can see, I noted that it was a contest. Never finished it. I just had too much else on the go. And that's my Secret Garden. Next is Ivy and the Inky Butterfly. Again, I don't have a ton done in here. There's the title page there, which is a lot of gold ink and gold pens and gold and gold and gold. Gel pens, felt liners. Obviously the diamonds are done with pencil, but everything else is just kind of a modge podge of, or a hodgepodge, should I say, of all different mediums. This page, pencils, just pencils, nothing exciting, just pencils, just Prismas. This page turned out fantastic. As you can see, just lovely shading, fun colors, absolutely lovely. Very cute. This page, I gessoed because I was not happy with it at all. I did not like the way it turned out. I had too many different mediums going on. I may come back and try to redo it. I may not. We will see. And this is a whip. This page has been stumping me for a very long time. I want to finish it. I want to do this book in order because it is a story. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but I feel like I can't move on until I finish this page for some reason. I've got a lot of it done. Again, lots of sparkle, lots of colors. I'm really happy with the way it's going so far, but I'm afraid that I'm going to ruin it because I don't know where to go from here. Like, I don't want to end up with, like, you know, such beautiful pieces and then really messed up pieces. Like if I don't do this bottle right, I feel like it's going to really downplay this jewelry box here. So I'll have to get over that. I'll have to sort of learn not to be too self-conscious about it. But that's all I have done in there. And final Johanna book is Rooms of Wonder. A lot of people are saying this is their favorite by her, and I'm leaning towards that. It may be surpassing Worlds of Wonder for me now. It is a beautiful book. I absolutely love it. As you can see, I've already done some testing in the test page, but I haven't really touched it that much. It's pretty empty. This is a whip, working on it. Not sure I'm happy with it though. I may have to buy a second copy of this book because I feel like I'm ruining every page that I like in it. They're not turning out the way I want it. This is all Prismas, but just not turning out the way I want it. Same with this. This is a disaster. This was my favorite page in the book, and I ruined it. I messed it up. I hated the way it turned out. It was just awful. So I gessoed it. I'm not sure if I'm just going to completely scrap it or if I'm going to try to go over it and redo it over top of the gesso. I'm not sure, but I'm really leaning towards just scrapping it because it is such a mess. I'll need another copy. This is one of the few books I don't have a second copy for, so guess we'll have to see. Did I do anything else in here? Oh yes, I did this page. Might not seem important, but it took a while to do, and I'm happy with the way it turned out. Again, a few little gold pens and stuff in there, and a nice little color scheme, just soft. So I'm pretty happy with that. And then I just a really simple opening page. Well, thank you for listening, guys. If you want to see more of these books or have any questions about any of the particulars of these pages, I'm going to have a couple of links down in the description. For example, Karen from My Colorful Country Life I'm going to tag in here. And then, of course, the Instagram for the Leaky Inkwell, which helps me pick my colors a lot of the time. They're a wonderful duo of artists, real artists, not colorists like me, you know. They have a real website with real self-creations, so go ahead and check them out if you want. But otherwise, thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.